He said that without him, Trump would have lost the election. Trump then posted that Elon was wearing thin. He asked him to leave, and he went crazy. Trump threatened to terminate Musk's government contracts, and then Elon Musk went absolutely nuclear. He tweeted, let's put that up on the big screen. Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they've not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. Whoa. You know, I knew this day would come, and yet somehow it's even better than I imagined. It's like coming down the stairs on Christmas morning and finding a second tree.
I'm fine with all the other lists. As long as I'm not on the Epstein list, we're good, right? How is it that my father can be convicted of 34 crimes, but no one on Epstein's list has even been brought to light? I'm trying to figure out how that's possible, right?
It feels like we're watching something caught between a self-help seminar that has spiraled out of control and a reality show no one ever asked for, as Donald Trump, the President of the United States, has turned the White House into what feels like a parody of itself. And just when it seems things could not possibly get any stranger, Donald Trump Jr. suddenly bursts in, flailing his arms wildly like a broken inflatable tube figure outside a used car lot, all because Jimmy Kimmel dared to lift the rug and expose the hidden mess lingering beneath his father's heavily discussed legacy.
Hollywood, where a lot of the country watched a very special episode of The White POTUS tonight. It was a night of pomposity and circumstance as Donald Trump addressed a joint session of Congress because, you know, he rarely gets to be on TV, so why not? And so anytime this maniac speaks, it is a joint session. It's a joint session, it's an edible session, it's a raid the medicine cabinet for anything to dull the pain kind of night.
Don Jr. slipped into full meltdown mode faster than his father can even say the word tremendous. His rant came out like a blender jam-packed with conspiracy theories, protein powder, and a complete lack of self-awareness. It was as if you could almost hear the Fox News echo chamber bouncing around inside his head. Yet, the real comedy here isn't even Don Jr.'s over-the-top tantrum.
Jane Goodall devoted a big chunk of her life to studying chimpanzees, wild chimpanzees. She spent years in the jungle observing them, learning about them, and in many ways, I feel like I've been doing similar work over the past 8 years, observing Donald Trump. No offense to the chimpanzees, but... And after a while, I don't know how long exactly, but Dr. Goodall spent most of her time watching them from a distance, began to interact with her fellow primates, and last night, that happened to me too. Because when Donald Trump gave a crowd in Indiana, Pennsylvania, yet another review of my performance at the Academy Award.
Let's turn our attention to the man of the hour, President Trump, the reigning king of unfinished sentences and larger-than-life blunders. This is the very same man who recently attempted to explain his economic plan while holding a chart completely upside down, proudly insisting it was a groundbreaking idea. His latest spectacle involved proposing a $400 million Trump Freedom Tower right in the middle of the Grand Canyon, claiming it would lift national morale. You couldn't dream up something like this unless, of course, your last name happens to be Trump.
After his big victory last night, the new Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney, gave a bold and passionate speech.
I have made many mistakes, and I will make more. But I commit to admitting them openly, to correcting them quickly, and always learning from them.
Oh man, Trump is gonna hate him.
If you're enjoying this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and tap the bell icon so you never miss an update. Jimmy Kimmel's takedown felt less like a comedy roast and more like a public service announcement. All it took was a highlight reel of Trump's most unforgettable moments, including that infamous press conference where he confused New Zealand with a brand new island somewhere off the coast of Florida. He treats geography the way most people play Mad Libs with a globe, just making it up as he goes. And of course, Don Jr. completely lost it because in the Trump universe,
telling the truth is treated like an act of betrayal.
Same time, we have Donald Trump firing air traffic controllers, screwing up our national parks, threatening to annex Canada, focusing on all these dumb things, and not just dumb things, unpopular things. Why not focus on a dumb, popular thing and do away with this ridiculous clock change twice a year? We go forward, we go backward. It's like living in a Christopher Nolan movie, and...
Let's be honest. Don Jr.'s idea of a defense strategy is to throw everything at the wall and hope the wall ends up paying him royalties. His rebuttal came across like a toddler trying to read a manifesto, stumbling through with misplaced confidence. He even went so far as to accuse Kimmel of being anti-American, as if making fun of Trump is somehow more unpatriotic than wrecking the economy with something called Operation Freedom Fry.
Trump, who is the president, left the G7 conference a full day early. The other world leaders assumed he left to work on a ceasefire in the Middle East, but Trump denied that. He said it has nothing to do with the ceasefire, much bigger than that. And now, today, we know what it was he was working on. He posted this: "It is my great honor to announce that I will be putting up 2 beautiful flagpoles on both sides of the White House. It is a gift from me. These are the most magnificent poles made."
And let's not forget Trump's endless obsession with slapping his brand on everything. Just recently, he decided to rename the Department of Education as the Patriot Academy, complete with shiny gold-lettered signs and a mascot that looks suspiciously like him wearing a toga. His new education plan promises more statues of himself in schoolyards and even a lesson for 4th graders on how to master the art of the mugshot. Yes, the very same mugshot that exploded into thousands of memes and became the first presidential portrait to also serve as a warning label. But to Don Jr., this is a symbol of power, so much so that he got it tattooed on his calf. Somewhere, a bald eagle is crying into the wind. Meanwhile, Trump's latest campaign slogan might as well be "Make Delusion Great Again." At his most recent rally, he vowed to build a second White House in Texas, because apparently one just isn't enough. He's like a Monopoly player who thinks buying Broadway makes him ruler of the universe. And yet their whole brand is built on being tough. Tough in the way wet tissue paper tries to survive a hurricane.
The National Guard and the Marines are occupying downtown Los Angeles to stop the imaginary riots that are taking place exclusively in the president's head, ahead of his big North Korea-style birthday parade this weekend. Trump spoke to the troops at Fort Bragg, the military base named after him, where he regaled them with a slew of insults about LA.
Within the span of a few decades, Los Angeles has gone from being one of the cleanest, safest, and most beautiful cities on earth to being a trash.
This is the same Don Jr. who once declared himself a political thought leader, only to follow it up by promoting a vitamin supplement that supposedly boosts patriotism. At the same time, his father has been busy trying to rewrite presidential history by claiming that Abraham Lincoln copied his speeches. Yes, according to Trump, time travel is not only real, but apparently wears a red tie. When Jimmy Kimmel laid out the timeline of Trump's long trail of broken promises, including an infrastructure week that somehow dragged on for 4 years, Don Jr. exploded onto social media like a fireworks show crammed into a shoebox. He ranted about cancel culture, raged against the deep state, and even managed to slip in multiple plugs for his podcast, which sounds like the bizarre offspring of Alex Jones in a kitchen blender. And the best part? Trump's fans loved every second of it. They treat Don Jr. shouting into his phone as if it were the modern-day Gettysburg Address. This is the same man who has suggested a national holiday called Trump Day, proposed putting statues of himself in every single state, and most recently appointed his personal golf caddy as an economic advisor. Apparently, in their world, if you can carry clubs, you can carry the economy.
Elon Musk yesterday fired a couple of shots at the big, beautiful bill Trump's desperately trying to jam down our throats. Uncharacteristically, Trump did not respond. He didn't take the bait. If anything, he seemed to be in hiding. He had no press conferences. He didn't post about it. He almost behaved like, dare I say, the President of the United States. Unfortunately for him, He had a visit scheduled with the German Chancellor today, and that would have been a fun area of discussion for the show tonight, too, because he said a whole bunch of nutty stuff. He said some dumb things about D-Day.
Don Jr. keeps insisting the media is unfair, but fairness doesn't mean ignoring the fact that the president showed up to a NATO meeting wearing golf shoes simply because they were more comfortable. Fairness also isn't pretending the stock market didn't crash right after Trump revealed his grand plan to replace the IRS with a national raffle system. The whole family seems to have a very strange idea of what it means to be presidential. For Trump, it's wearing a suit that matches the drapes and shouting "winning" into a mirror. For Don Jr., it's posting gym selfies while blaming inflation on veganism. And somehow, this is the dynasty that claims to be defending democracy. Trump once went so far as to call his Twitter ban a tragedy worse than Pearl Harbor, and Don Jr. backed him up by labeling it digital genocide. At some point, you start to wonder if they even understand anything beyond the $5 words they can barely pronounce.
His Majesty was out on the White House lawn this morning doing the important work of presiding over the planting of his magnificent poles. And to answer a question he has often asked himself about the White House, which is, why doesn't it have a flagpole from the grass?
I've always said, why doesn't it have a flagpole from the grass? They call it a flagpole from the grass. They have a little one on top, very little one. This is about the largest you'll ever see, and it's tapered. It's at a quality that you guys rarely get to even put up.
Don Jr. praised this idea as forward-thinking, which in Trump's world simply means being completely disconnected from reality. The family has turned political discourse into a comedy routine, where the punchline is democracy itself. Take Trump's stance on climate change, for instance. He once claimed that wind makes people bald and accused solar panels of stealing sunshine. These are the kinds of statements Don Jr. defends with a straight face, even as outrage and pre-workout powder seem to mix at the corners of his mouth. In the latest chapter of this ongoing spectacle, Trump appointed his former reality show co-star as press secretary and demanded that every press briefing begin with his theme song. Don Jr. insists this is a long-standing presidential tradition, though tradition now apparently includes offering cabinet positions based on Mar-a-Lago loyalty points.
And this, to me, this is Donald Trump's big opportunity, because we woke up this morning an hour before we usually do, and I have the kids on board now. My daughter hates daylight saving time. My son hates daylight saving time. I'm a longtime hater of daylight saving time. And my wife hates hearing us complain about how much we hate daylight saving time. So there's a lot of hate flowing through the house. And here in California, we voted, back in 2018, we voted to get rid of this. And we thought we did. 60% of voters said no more. And yet, 6-7 years later, here we are, dragging our asses out of bed again.
When Jimmy Kimmel presented these absurdities in a sharp and neatly delivered monologue, Don Jr. reacted with full scorched earth fury, calling it character assassination. It is difficult to assassinate a character that disappeared years ago, leaving behind nothing but a caricature in a red hat making shadow puppets on the walls of the Oval Office. As Don Jr. pushes forward in his crusade against comedians, facts, and reality, the Trump machine keeps moving, powered by anger, delusion, and a constant flow of merchandise sales. Even some of the MAGA faithful are beginning to see the cracks, such as when Trump promised to replace the US dollar with a new currency based on Patriot points, redeemable only at Trump resorts. Don Jr. praised the idea as genius, while economists called it complete madness, though in the Trump world those two often mean the same thing. The most shocking moment came when Trump attempted to rewrite the Constitution with Sharpie edits and proudly renamed it the Trumpstitution for the 21st century. Don Jr. called it visionary, but the rest of us recognized it as a desperate cry for help. While Don Jr. spirals into an online tantrum and Trump continues his march through a parade of delusion, the rest of the nation watches as if it were a live-streamed episode of political chaos.
This is not just a meltdown. It is a full symphony of desperation, with cymbals clashing every time Jimmy Kimmel delivers another uncomfortable truth about President Spray Tan himself. When your idea of a strong defense is yelling into a camera while wearing a bathrobe and holding a cigar the wrong way, it is a clear sign you may be standing far too close to the fire.
Of all Americans, we're here today to discuss protecting Americans from censorship. We will uphold the right of free speech.
We, as a country, cannot tolerate political censorship.
We will always protect free speech. The censorship and bias is a threat to freedom itself. Free speech is a bedrock of American life.
We believe in free speech.
Censorship, free speech.
Censorship.
Free speech, censorship. Believe it or not, I'm one that really likes free speech. You can't have censorship. You can't pick one person and say, well, we don't like what he's been saying, he's out.
It's very interesting, isn't it? It's almost like he's a hypocrite, you know?
Kimmel did not even have to put in much effort. All it took was a simple montage of Trump's latest ramblings and incoherent rants, and the entire nation collectively sighed as if to say, "Here we go again, another episode of Orange is the New Blackmail." Don Jr. did not take it well. He snapped into rage mode like a malfunctioning action figure with only one setting, which is to shout louder. He completely lost it over a comedy sketch, proving once again that this family treats late-night monologues as if they were State of the Union addresses. Meanwhile, the current president, the same man who seems to think classified documents make suitable bathroom reading, barely reacted. He was too busy playing golf with world leaders who smile politely in photo opportunities while secretly laughing behind his back. Don Jr., however, took it as a deeply personal insult, as though Jimmy Kimmel pointing out Trump's questionable decisions and bizarre business entanglements, such as the recent incident where Trump confused the Ukrainian president with his personal accountant on live television, was the gravest of offenses. In Jr.'s mind, Kimmel's jokes were the real national emergency. His response video was not so much a rebuttal as it was a desperate plea for either a therapist or a long nap, and perhaps both.
Fifth time Trump has addressed Congress, and he got quite an introduction from the Sergeant-at-Arms.
Mr. Speaker, members of Congress, please welcome Diaper Donnie, Man Boom Mussolini, Captain Bone Spurs, Mar-a-Lardo, the notorious P.I.G., General Von Schützenpants, Putin's Boy Puckett, His Flatulency, the President of the United States, Donald Jellybelly Trump.
Somewhere along the way, the Trump dynasty confused mockery with martyrdom. They believe that being ridiculed is proof of greatness, as if enough people roasting you somehow means you must be right. This is not resilience, it is delusion wrapped in a red tie and dripping with overconfidence. Don Jr. carries that legacy with the grace of a cat trying to play the piano, loud, chaotic, and painfully off-key. While he rants about the media being unfair, he conveniently ignores the fact that his father spent an entire decade using Twitter like a presidential hotline. Every petty thought, every personal feud, and every insult typed in all caps has been archived for the world to see. Pointing that out is not slander, it is historical preservation. Still, Don Jr. keeps shouting about biased comedians while his father rebrands the White House lawn as Trump National DC. Just when it seems the chaos might settle, Jr. posts another unhinged video featuring 12 American flags, 0 actual facts, and the kind of energy drink-fueled pacing that makes you wonder if caffeine needs its own legal rights. What comes next will probably be a sit-down interview with a host no one has heard of, streamed on a platform barely held together by expired domain names and conspiracy theories. This is not political commentary, it is an off-Broadway tragedy where no one bothered to attend rehearsal.